know your heart, you know your lungs, and you might even know a bit about your liver. But what do you know about your kidneys? Well, your kidneys do a lot. They remove waste, balance fluid and minerals, control blood pressure, keep bones healthy, regulate hormones, and help make red blood cells. Every day, your kidney filters 200 liters of blood. When blood enters the kidney, it is cleaned and returned to the body, while toxins and waste are removed and turned into urine. But kidney disease disrupts these vital functions. Kidney disease occurs when kidneys become injured or damaged, which can cause serious problems such as kidney failure, or also called end-stage renal disease. So what causes kidney failure? Diabetes mellitus is one cause of kidney failure. It damages the blood vessels and other tissues in the kidneys. Kidneys are made up of millions of blood vessels called nephrons, which filter our blood. This filtration system can be damaged by excess glucose in the bloodstream. Excess glucose can make the kidney filter too much blood, and this extra work can create problems. Also, when glucose gets low, patients can experience a hypoglycemic event, which can be dangerous and can lead to end-stage renal disease, or ESRD. In fact, 45% of Korea's end-stage renal disease, or ESRD cases, are patients with diabetic kidney disease, based on a study conducted by Sangyeon and et al. Diabetic kidney disease, or DKD, contributes to the higher risk of progression to ESRD and increased cardiovascular morbidity and mortality. Thus, it is important to identify patients who are at risk of DKD and ESRD and initiate appropriate renoprotective treatment. Many clinical randomized controlled trials have shown that in patients with intensive glycemic diabetes, microvascular diseases can be alleviated. A recent meta-analysis of RCT's data showed that intensive glucose control over 5 years has significantly reduced the number of kidney events in patients with type 2 diabetes. According to previous study guidelines in clinical practice, intensive controls of glycemia were important in the prevention of DKD progression. Hypoglycemia, however, which can be present in intensive diabetes treatment, has become an important health and safety issue. Severe hypoglycemia is now recognized as one of the most important adverse events in patients with type 2 diabetes and in the older patients and those who have kidney failure, in particular in patients with type 2 diabetes. It is unclear whether severe hypoglycemia is caused by intensive control of the glycemic and the risk that DKD may progress. Although many earlier studies have focused on the increased risk of renal insufficient hypoglycemia, only a few have assessed severe hypoglycemia as a predictive factor to the development of renal disease in type 2 diabetes. Consequently, their study aimed to identify the association between severe hypoglycemia and developing end-stage renal disease with the data collected from the National Health Insurance Corporation, which is a government agency that administers the medical service system in Korea. Moreover, those response, temporal relationships, and consistency between severe hypoglycemia frequency and renal outcomes were also investigated in their study.
The first thing they did in the study was obtain their data, which they got from the National Health Insurance Service, or NHIS, which is the equivalent or the counterpart of our PhilHealth here in the Philippines, in Korea. So NHIS actually encourages Korean adults, particularly those who are 30 years and older, to undergo a standardized medical examination every 2 years. So you can imagine that NHIS is keeping health records of these people and keeping these records up to date by encouraging them to update their information every 2 years. Now, who among these insured people are we actually interested in? Remember, in the study, the authors wanted to find a correlation between severe hypoglycemia and the risk of end-stage renal disease in type 2 diabetes. So they were actually interested in participants with type 2 diabetes. In fact, they followed 988,333 of them from the baseline of the study or the beginning of the study until their death or until December 31, 2016 if they survive until that point. How did they narrow down the numbers from 2 million people who were actually diagnosed with type 2 diabetes mellitus in 2009 in Korea to just 988,333? This number, by the way, is actually based on the National Health Insurance Claims Database. So this 2 million plus people, and they claim insurance using these codes, which are codes for type 2 diabetes mellitus. Now, this number was narrowed down to this number by excluding these groups of people. One, the participants who did not take the national health checkup in 2009 to 2010, which means that their NHIS records are not updated. Those with missing data, and those whose kidneys failed before the observation phase of the study even began. So again, they were able to narrow it down to this number. And most of these people didn't have severe hypoglycemia episode 2 years prior to the observation phase of the study, which is from 2007 to 2009, while a small portion of them have had severe hypoglycemia during these 2 years prior to the observation phase of the study. Here during 2010 to 2016, they observed how the kidneys of the participants cope after severe hypoglycemia episode. They defined participants to have had severe hypoglycemia when they made insurance claims using these codes, which are codes for severe hypoglycemia. Now, the primary endpoint for this study was the incident of kidney failure, or when the participants claimed insurance using codes for kidney failure or for kidney transplantation, because when your kidneys fail, you need transplant. Now, the authors also considered other factors that may affect the renal outcome in this study. So again, severe hypoglycemia in diabetes is not sole reason for someone to develop kidney failure. So they also took into account other possible comorbidities in the study. And then lastly, they did the statistics. They did a lot of statistics actually, but the most important ones are the analysis of variance between the groups based on the number of severe hypoglycemia events, and then the Cox proportional hazard regression analysis, which calculated the risk for one to develop ESRD after severe hypoglycemia episodes.
After the mean follow-up duration of 6.7 years from the time the data were obtained, it has been recorded that out of the patients with type 2 diabetes, some of them experienced 1, 2, or more episodes of severe hypoglycemia. These interpretations will be discussed in the next slide. Participants who had severe hypoglycemia at baseline were more likely to be older. Compared with the no SH group, participants who reported having episodes of SH included a lower proportion of current smokers, heavy drinkers, and physically active individuals, and a higher proportion of those with hypertension and major comorbidities. Glomerulus filtration rate is a test to check how well a kidney is working. The baseline GFR levels tended to be lower in participants who experienced more episodes of SH. During the follow-up period, 1.5% of the population developed ESRD. In the crude model, compared with those who experienced no SH, the hazard ratios for developing ESRD were 4.96, 6.84, and 9.51 in participants who experienced 1, 2, and 3 or more episodes of SH respectively. Although further adjustment for confounding factors attenuated the associations between SH and the incidence of ESRD, these readjustments, as you see, did not change the significance of the mean effects. The renal outcomes observed showed a dose-response relationship with the number of SH episodes experienced. Also, the hazard ratios in developing ESRD showed an increasing trend as the number of SH episodes increased. In the participants with proteinuria and low GFR, the risk of ESRD increased in participants with a history of SH compared with those with no history of SH. However, there are no interactions with sex, age, hypertension, or dyslipidemia were observed in the relationship, except for insulin use. The findings demonstrate an association between episodes of severe hypoglycemia and an increased risk of renal outcomes. A dose-response temporal relationship between SH and renal outcomes is revealed, wherein the participants who experience more SH events were at a higher risk of developing ESRD. These results remain consistent in the multiple subgroups. While the exact mechanism between prior SH episodes and renal outcomes is not well understood, some potential relationships such as inflammation, defects in coagulation, and endothelial dysfunction can be proposed between the two in patients with diabetes. The immediate surge of blood pressure after an SH event can accelerate the deterioration of renal function. Thus, hypoglycemia may increase the risk of DKD progression and ESRD. Although the analysis of the whole cohort as well as the subgroups indicate an association between SH episodes and the subsequent development of ESRD, the results of this study do not confirm that SH can be a direct cause of ESRD. Other factors were not considered in this analysis and might give an indirect effect on the progression of renal disease. In general, the patients who are at the higher risk of SH are in the advanced stages of diabetes and may be more vulnerable to renal damage caused by SH, as elaborated in the concept map flashed on the screen. The findings of this study demonstrated the potential prognostic importance of SH on the progression of renal disease. This study indicated that the recurrent SH showed a strong and positive association with the subsequent development of ESRD.